The following podcast is brought to you by patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca. Like what you hear? Want more of it ad-free, uncensored, and earlier? Sign up today at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca and start getting more for as little as $2 a month.
Don't miss your favorite superstars take center stage to forge the future of the hottest new brand in WWE.
Welcome to Forging the Future, your home for NXT and all that jazz at WrestleMedia.ca. All the future stuff, whether it's WWE developmental or a nice, shiny new elite promotion, I try to cover it all. But I get to what I can. I am the Jeff Dehan, and I'm flying solo this week. It's good to be back after a couple of weeks off. But yeah, I'm flying solo this week, and it's not so much by choice, just scheduling kind of didn't go so well. But I wanted to do something, so I'm going to do something special. We're going to talk about some NXT and some NXT UK, as per usual. And then I'm going to turn on AEW's Fyterfest. And we're not going to do a watch along because that's ridiculous. It's like a 3-hour show. But I'm going to give you my thoughts on the matches as I watch them. So I'll watch a match, turn the mic on, and give my thoughts on it and kind of go through all of that. However, the only way you're really going to hear that is if you're a patron. And you can do that by heading over to patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca. That's where you go. There's all kinds of tiers for different price points. If you want to just support us, but you don't have a lot of cash, $2 a month, you can do that. You can do $5 a month. The $10 a month tier is where you start getting all the extra content, so that's where you would hear my thoughts on AEW's Fyterfest, as well as the extra content from all the other shows, like We Have Some Time from We Have Till 5, and just all the fun extras that all of our shows have here at WrestleMedia. It's well worth your time, it's well worth your money, it's a well-worthy listen. I don't know if that grammatically made sense, but I went with it. It's a well-worthy listen. I think that's a good tagline. WrestleMedia, a well-worthy listen. Can you tell it's getting kind of late and I'm just rambling now? But yes, as I said at the right off the hop, it's good to be back. It's been a rough couple weeks, to be quite honest. A rough several weeks now, to be exact, and just for anyone who doesn't know, I won't go into tremendous detail, but there was a death in my family, so I had to take time off, obviously, for family things and stuff like that. And it actually hit me harder than I was expecting it to. It wasn't immediate family, like a parent or one of my siblings. It was my uncle. And after the fact, I realized it hit me a lot harder than I expected. So I needed an extra week off. And I'm glad I took it, but at the same time, I've kind of eased into it. I was on the Ropes to Reels 100th episode on Ready to Rumble. I did a little bit there for the patrons. You would have already heard me do some quick picks recently. And it's been kind of slow. I've been easing myself back into the WrestleMedia fold, and while I'm sure a lot of people like hearing the banter of two people, after spending over a year doing solo shows, it's kind of like coming home again. Doing a solo show like this, it's kind of nice, especially since I don't really have a permanent co-host right now to begin with. It's actually, I don't even think we've had the same two people do this show for 2 weeks in a row for, well, probably since Andrew was doing it steadily, which would have been a couple months ago. Yeesh. We'll work on that, but life happens. Scheduling happens. And wrestling happens. Wrestling happens everywhere. It happens in Canada, it happens in the United States, Mexico, Japan, and even in the United Kingdom. That was a far-flung segue, but I'm going to go with it. Talking about some NXT UK this week. It was alright. There was a few things. It's another episode. I think this is the second episode that was taped at the Download Festival. I could be wrong, but I think it was the second episode. I'm looking forward to the next one or two. I don't know how many episodes they recorded there. But I know at some point Adam Cole made an appearance at Download, so it's a pretty safe bet he probably makes an appearance on an NXT UK show, so that'll definitely be cool to see. I like the different atmosphere. It's kind of, the ring is basically kind of like under a tent for these last couple shows. I think that's kind of neat. As far as content this week, there was some good stuff, some so-so stuff. Yeah, might as well get with the so-so / good. Mark Andrews was in action against Joseph Connors. I like Mark Andrews. It was great seeing him in action again. We got a great promo from the grizzled young veterans, James Drake and Zach Gibson. To be more specific, we got a promo from Zach Gibson, because I don't think Drake said a word during this whole thing. I love that they came out in suits, but they had like plastic grocery bags on their shoes. And they even, they made mention to it of how muddy and disgusting it was there, which, it's great heel heat. Gotta love that. Zaya Brookside was in action against Killer Kelly in a rematch from a few weeks ago, where the match got interrupted by Ginny and Jazzy Gabbert. So it's cool to see these two in action again. I really feel like Killer Kelly hasn't had a chance to kind of get out the blocks here in NXT UK. I'm not sure if she even has a victory yet. She might have one or two, but she really hasn't done a whole lot. And I know she's a good name and everything, but she's kind of, I wouldn't go as far as saying she's enhancement talent, but she's not there to get over. She's there to put other women over, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I don't know, I guess I've just expected more from Killer Kelly. Zaya Brookside, on the other hand, delivers at almost every outing. She's a lot of fun. She's a great talent. And she's so young that she has such a tremendous upside. Like, she's got such a huge, bright future, almost as bright as her blue hair. Yeah, she has a bright future. So, I always love seeing Zaya Brookside in action. Much like I enjoy seeing Ligero in action. He took on Noam Dar. And, it was alright. At first, Dar didn't seem to play up the heel aspect when he was coming out as much. He did more so during the match, of course. And he's really getting over that sniveling chicken poop heel that he does so well. He tried to fake the knee injury again in this match, and Kenny Williams even wound up coming to ringside at one point. And Dar, when the referee was distracted, was asking Williams for the chair that Williams was sitting on. I don't know why Noam thought that Kenny would actually give him the chair, but he pretended to, and then took it away, which caused Ligero to then get the victory shortly after. So obviously, this feud is not finished yet. Kenny Williams, he's another dude that I'm really high on. I look forward to seeing this feud get ramped up. Like, that's the thing. This show didn't necessarily do much for me, but it sort of did some seed planting. I am looking forward to seeing what Dar and Williams do in the future, because I really think they will put on some amazing, amazing matches. We got a really, really cool backstage segment, for lack of a better term, because they didn't exactly have a backstage since it was at a music festival. But the Hunt were approached by one Bomber Dave Mastiff, and he put forth a proposition. Given that the three gentlemen, and I use the term loosely when it comes to the Hunt, all have issue with Gallus, Mastiff suggested that they team up. This has me excited. I am a big, big fan of Dave Mastiff, and I'm a big fan of The Hunt. I kind of poked fun at Wild Boar at the beginning, called him Piggly Wiggly, and still kind of do, but it's more a term of endearment now. Once him and Primate started teaming up, that's when these guys really just kind of had a fire lit under them. I don't know if maybe they were a tag team prior to NXT UK, and it took a while for Primate to get onto the roster or what. But these two have a great chemistry in the ring, and just the whole, even though it's like, it's a wild boar and it's an ape, you know, it's not like those animals have any kind of a connection, you know, but these guys, they play it up so well, and it's just, as I said, they have great chemistry, and they do some great stuff. So to see them have the backup of Dave Mastiff, another guy I'm a big, big fan of, oh, I can't wait. And to take on some guys like Gallus, who are fantastic at almost every outing, that's going to make for a great match. And speaking of great matches, the main event this week was definitely one for the books. It was a UK championship match. Walter defending the title against the winner of the, I don't know if I want to say tournament, but kind of a whole number one contender sort of deal, which was, of course, Travis Banks. Now, on paper, I would probably roll my eyes at this match, because I'm not a very big fan of Travis Banks. I just find him very boring. He doesn't really give the best promos. He has some cool entrance gear, and he can get the job done bell to bell, but I don't relate to him. There's no personality really that I can see whatsoever that I find entertaining. And then there's Walter. I've never been shy about my thoughts on Walter, and while he's grown on me a little bit, again, I'm just kind of a meh on the guy. But he can get the job done bell to bell. And that, kids, was where the magic lay in this match. Two guys who can get the job done from start to finish, and meshed very well together in this match. This was actually a really great match, and maybe it's because I'm not too high on both guys. My expectations were low, but man, they put forth a great, great effort. Banks had some fantastic offense, and Walter, I'm starting to believe that Walter's best attribute in the ring is his selling, which is pretty impressive for a big man who's typically pretty dominant. You know, a lot of those guys will wind up kind of getting stuck in that rut of no selling most things. So then when it comes to the point that they do have to sell, they don't necessarily do a great job. There's certain exceptions. Brock Lesnar is an exception. I find when he starts selling, he sells really good. He almost oversells sometimes. Another big man who was really, really good at that, I found, was Yokozuna. He wouldn't sell much. He would often shrug a lot of stuff off. But when the babyface started really getting hot and it was time for Yoko to sell, man, he would sell fantastic for a big man. And while Walter pales in comparison to the size of old Yoko. He sells so good, and that's what made this match fantastic. So that's the biggest takeaway from NXT UK this week, is check out that main event match. If you've got time, an extra 30 seconds or a minute, check out that Hunt and Dave Mastiff promo, but that's more of a personal bias there. But yeah, definitely check out this main event. Great match, great selling, great hustle from Banks. Well done all around. Now we're going to jump over across the pond to NXT, and it was a little bit of the opposite with the North American brand this week. There was a lot to love on NXT this week, so let's start unpacking it. Right off the bat, we start with the first match in the NXT Breakout Tournament. Joaquin Wilde, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, it's the same as Joaquin Phoenix. That's his name, right? I'm going to look that up. Yeah. Joaquin Phoenix. I never know how to pronounce this name. I hate it. Well, anyways, that's the actor. The wrestler is Joaquin Wilde, the former DJZ. Or, judging by his entrance attire, he is the final form of Mustafa Ali. It's the light up stuff. He takes it a step further than Ali does. Basically, it's if Ali's entrance gear and Chris Jericho's light up jacket had a child, this is what you would come up with. But I digress. He took on the former Garza Jr., aka Angel Garza. Man, if this is what sets the tone for this tournament, we are in for a few weeks of some damn fine wrestling. This was a great match. I didn't even actually take a lot of notes for this match because I was too busy watching it. Garza was a fantastic heel. Right off the bat, before even getting in the ring to start the match, he goes to give a high five to a fan and then just totally fakes him out, and it was such a fantastic heel thing. The reaction on the fan was good. The reaction from Garza was good. Fantastic stuff. Both men were just phenomenal. Wilde, little more of a high flyer than Garza, but both guys can get it done. Garza, obviously, given his background, he's got a little lucha libre style, but and damn, he's ripped. At one point, I guess this is part of his gimmick, he's got these tearaway pants, so he basically looks like he starts off in tights, and then at one point during the match, he just rips them off and he's got trunks. Well, he did that during this match. Beth Phoenix's reaction was priceless. It was simple, but you just hear oh my. I thought it was hilarious, and it's just priceless. Loved it. Loved this match. Loved everything about it. Tweeted about it after the match, which Angel Garza actually liked that tweet. Not that any of you care, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. But no, fantastic match. This, just from a bell-to-bell standpoint, and that'll make sense when I get to later on in the show, but from a bell-to-bell standpoint, this might have been my favorite match of the week. These guys killed it out there. They crushed it. It was awesome. Well worth checking out. I'm not even going to spoil this one. Typically, I talk about who won. I'm not even going to say who won between Garza and Wilde. You've got to check it out for yourself because you owe it to yourself to check out this match. It was fantastic. Go check it out. Breakout Tournament, Angel Garza versus Joaquin Wilde. Go watch it now. Okay, are you back? Or did you already watch it? Alright. then let's get back to it. Street Profits took on the Forgotten Sons, and I didn't care that much. I cared a little bit because I like the Street Profits. They apparently said at the beginning of the match that they were going to put the titles on the line, but I don't think this was actually a title match anyways. Forgotten Sons lost by disqualification when Jackson Riker got involved. No surprise there. Lorcan and Birch made the save, but then there was kind of a stare down there when it came to the titles. So they're really trying to beef up the tag title scene again, because it really kind of took a hit after the Viking Raiders, aka the former War Raiders, left for the main roster. It kind of took a hit because you didn't see as much from the Undisputed Era by that point, because they had already kind of had their chance as the tag champs before the War Raiders. So it really kind of, the tag scene was starting to look a little lackluster in some spots. So now you've got the Street Profits and a few other teams getting a push. I feel like part of the problem was that the Forgotten Sons were getting this push and the fans just weren't and aren't getting behind them. I mean, they get booed because they're heels and everything, but they don't really have that massive heel heat. That's the issue. And I mean, even I don't care. And, you know, a bad reaction is better than no reaction in wrestling. And unfortunately, they're getting a lot of no reaction. Something I did react to, a video for one Killian Dane. It was very brief. Like, it was only a few seconds long, but I'm excited for this because I can't wait to see Killian Dane in action again. I was one of those people that was pretty disappointed that Sanity split up. And unfortunately, I haven't seen a lot from the poor Eric Young. Poor Eric Young is one of the people chasing after R-Truth for the 24/7 title. Thankfully, Alexander Wolf is doing something on the UK television show, getting involved with Imperium. So, that's something. Nikki Cross is killing it on Raw and SmackDown. And now we're going to see Killian Dane back in action. The video didn't really lead to whether he was going to be a babyface or a heel. He really could go either way. I suspect with him coming back to NXT, he'll lean towards babyface because he'll probably get a pretty big pop when he finally debuts on TV. But at the same time, he's a pretty imposing guy, so he could easily fit the heel role as well. I guess time will tell, but I can't wait. This video was definitely a great introduction. Another match, I can't help but laugh. I mean, first of all, the match involved my man Keith Lee, one of my favorites on the NXT roster right now. So I was very happy to see him. It was a squash match, so, I mean, that was alright, but the guy he faced, his name is Nikos Rikos. I don't know if this is this guy's legit name or not, but if it is, man, he must have got made fun of in school. Nikos Rikos. Okay, I didn't need to roll the R there, I made a choice. And if the rhyming name wasn't bad enough, this guy had possibly the worst gear I have ever seen. It only had one leg, so the other was like cut out, similar to what Zack Ryder used to wear, but it wasn't just pants, it was a full bodysuit. And then the top only had one arm, but the thing is, it wasn't like Kane. Like, I don't even think it went over the second shoulder. Like, it basically went from the collar on one side to under his arm on the other side. It's very difficult to explain. If you need to see his gear and you haven't watched the show, I recommend you watch the show. If you don't have time for that, then I recommend Googling just to find this guy and get a look at him. You spell his name Nykos, and then his last name is Rikos, and it's pronounced Nikos Rikos. Because of course it rhymed. If it didn't rhyme, that'd just be stupid. And man, this guy had horrible gear. The fact that I'm spending more time talking about this guy's gear and this guy's name than I am about the fact that one of my favorite guys on the roster, Keith Lee, just crushed this dude, says something. Horrible gear. Stupid name. And I apologize if it's this guy's legit name, but ugh. Let's just move on to the main event. And the main event, of course, was the NXT Women's Championship, defended inside a steel cage. And what I love about this is that in NXT, stipulations still matter because you don't see them all the time. It helps, I guess, that they only have 5 pay-per-views a year. But the last time I can remember a cage match being on NXT TV, so I'm not counting the War Games events, I'm just talking a straight up cage match, and I'm talking on TV, not on a takeover, was I think about 2 years ago when Ty Dillinger took on Eric Young. And that was right before Dillinger debuted on the main roster permanently. That says something. And this is also the first women's steel cage match in NXT history, if I'm not mistaken. Great match. I really liked the finish. At one point we got a Yowie Wowie chant, which I didn't necessarily mind because I don't even think it was meant to be stupid. I mean, to an extent, I guess, but it's not the same as when crowds would just chant names of wrestlers who aren't in there. Like, I took the Yowie Wowie chant as being no different than a Mamma Mia chant, which is no different really than a This Is Awesome chant or a Holy Sugar Shack chant. Yeah, I said Sugar Shack. You heard me. So I didn't mind the Yowie Wowie chant, but I know it might rub some people the wrong way. But either way, it was deserved. This was an awesome match. Really loved it. I think I still, bell to bell, I liked the Breakout Tournament match more. But this was really well done. And I really liked the finish. I loved that Candice got involved in it, as well as the 4 Horsewomen. It was really well put together. I was very happy with it. Then the post-match happened. I'm not even going to bury the lead. Io Shirai turned on Candice LeRae. I did not see this coming whatsoever. I probably feel like I should have, I guess, with how Io acted after her last loss to Shayna at TakeOver 25. But I was not expecting this. But yeah, she lost the match, and Candice was obviously there because she was helping be Shirai's backup against the Horsewomen. So she's helping Io up at the end, and Io just starts punching and kicking at Candice, and then just stomps her down, and then looks shocked and like she regrets it, and she didn't know what she was doing, and I thought that's where it was going to end. I'm like, okay, frustration, and yeah, fine, she's probably going to turn heel, but it'll be a bit of a slow burn now, and maybe she'll apologize next week on NXT TV, and then they'll have a tag team match, and then she'll turn on her, or something like that. So Io, gasping with her hand over her mouth, and I believe she even actually said she was sorry a couple times. Exits the ring, goes to walk up the ramp, but stops smiles, grabs a steel chair from under the ring, heads back into the ring, and proceeds to beat the holy tar out of Candice LeRae with a steel chair. What the hell, Io? What are you doing to my girl Candice? Not cool, Chica. Ugh. So that was a lot to process because I was not expecting that. I'm kind of happy. Although I don't know how necessary it was. See, there's a lot to like and a lot to not like about this. I feel like there's already an overabundance of heels in the NXT women's division. I mean, you've got Shayna, you've got the Horsewomen, you've got Aaliyah and Vanessa Bourne. You know, like and those are just the main ones that you see week to week for the heels. On the babyface side, now that you don't have Io, you have Candice and Mia Yim. That's pretty much it. Bianca Belair as well, but I would still classify her as more of a heel than a babyface. But since she is so over with the crowd, I suppose you could flip her to the babyface side easily enough. But considering she's recently been feuding with Mia Yim, I don't know, it feels like it's already a little crowded on the heel side. To then add Io Shirai to that, I'm not crazy about. What I do like is that we're going to have more than one feud going on in the women's division. Typically, the main feud in the women's division of NXT focuses around that women's championship. So to have that not be the case, to have a feud that doesn't involve the women's championship, that makes me happy. It's Canada Day weekend. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's some fireworks going off outside. Because it's not like anybody's trying to record a podcast or anything. Jerks. Where was I? Yes. The other good thing is with Io obviously distancing herself from the women's championship. Unless this feud somehow leaks back into the women's championship and we get a triple threat match at TakeOver. But I don't know if that's going to be the case. I think it's going to be a little too personal between Io and Candice. That opens the door for one Mia Yim to jump into the NXT women's title picture. And that is another thing that makes me very happy. Yim's fantastic. She's had some great matches against Bianca Belair lately. And I think you could build a really fantastic feud between her and Shayna Baszler. So that is something I am looking forward to. I hope to see that. I think it's going to be phenomenal.
Hey, this is a commercial for patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca, where you can get early access to episodes of your favorite WrestleMedia shows, get full uncut and uncensored versions of your favorite shows, and more. Don't want to hear this commercial on your podcast anymore? Sign up at our main event tier and get these episodes ad-free. Want to hear your own commercial here instead of ours? We've got tiers for that too. Visit patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca and join the WrestleMedia revolution today.
So that's it. That's all. Fyterfest is in the books. And we got some great stuff from NXT this week. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, best of luck with your future endeavors. Alright, and if you didn't catch any of the Fyterfest talk, you need to hop on to patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca. Forge that future, kids.
This has been a presentation of WrestleMedia, where everything is wrestling and wrestling is everything.